Hello everyone, Hawky here, back with another Sword of Convallaria video. So I saw this post on Reddit. This guy is talking about their HASNA, and yeah, I think it's really amazing at how much dedication, how much effort they did in building up HASNA. And even though HASNA and other lower tier characters, aren't really meta, but it doesn't mean they can't be amazing in their own way. It being not meta just means that there's some issues with their like kit, or it's not really that good or that efficient in the current modes in the game. So let's have a look through what they're stating here. So yeah, very looked down upon. 3,500 power. Power doesn't really mean that much because HP is very contributes to power a lot compared to like attack and defense. Single target range DPS is underrated. So some ideas. So plus range 1, so the focus 1 and good positioning. No one can reach her while she puts out great DPS. Range for her move penetrating, can go 5 tiles with her passive scent tracker. 5 tile range, 140, 170 is wild, never mind buffs. Space ring for the extra mobility, which is her worst quality along with the AoE. It solves the movement, ends up being more DPS than the commonplace hourglass trinket. Okay, so yep, focus 1 is really important. Sword and cup heal is worth going over. Uh, the cup engravement has to be health. Uh, okay. To survive later game damage, foregoing the DPS HASNA will get from any other resources worth it. 3 stars is necessary as fragrance for the 5 tile attack. 5 stars is fantastic. Unlocks one of the better single target abilities, reliability at 5 star 5 range. Okay. Yeah, focus 1 is really good for HASNA. Space time ring at 3 star. Okay. So let's have a look at this. So yeah, focus 1, it's really good. You need to be unharmed and increasing the maximum range of the single target by 1. So that's really good. I need to raise mine up when I get more copies. It's a very rare weapon to get. I only got this one from the selector that we get for free in Voyage Memento. Yeah, that does increase the magic attack as well when doing a single target. And yeah, for the, which is like all of HASNA's skills is pretty much all single target there. Scent tracker, yeah. And then for this is teleport behind any character, any ally, and increases attack for 1 turn. And then there's a pre-turn cooldown of 2 turns. I usually have this on maybe like a slow healer like Inanna. And even at yeah, it's 6% for 1 turn. Would they say it was a good attack increase? Ends up being more DPS than the commonplace hourglass. What? What do you mean? More DPS? Like, you only get the attack for that 1 turn when you teleport. You don't get it anywhere else. So just jumping into the random battle here, we can see Hasna's attack here is 3,200. We also came with the trinket here. You can see it's on cooldown for another 2 turns. And you can see now we could finally use the trinket. It's on cooldown, so actually I need to move here to be closer. So if we teleport behind Coco here, we get the level 5 buff from the gear. It increases attack by 2%, so 3,289, and yeah, you can see the buff only lasts 1 turn. So if I just went standby here and skip my turn, Coco's taking that, nice, taking that, and yeah, our our attack buff from the ring is gone. So it's just a one-time use. That's it. And one of the main issues with HASNA is even though she's a Seeker, she only has 3 moves, so it's hard to catch up. So that's why he was thinking of using the space-time trinket. But no way this is worse than the hourglass. Like the teleport's nice, but yeah, it's only for that one time when you teleport, you get the attack, and there's a pre-cooldown, so you have to wait until the 3rd turn in battle to actually use the skill. Even at 5-star, you can use it 2 times with a 3-turn cooldown. So you can use it on like the 3rd turn and then the 6th turn or something like that. I don't think that's a good way to use HASNA. The main thing I had issues with her kit is even at 5-star, right? So let's just go straight to the 5-star. So immune to blind, that's right. So inflicts the fragrance on all enemies around her at the end of their turn. So at the end of any enemy's turn. So basically the way you have to play Hasna is she has to go in and, when she attacks, she can inflict fragrance. This is after attacking. She inflicts fragrance. And her passive, her trait, inflicts fragrance on after the enemy's turn. So basically, you have to put Hasna in the middle of enemies, or at least close enough, within 5 tiles. So enemy has to come within 5 tiles of her, and either she's barely out of range, like within that, let's say like a 2 to 5 tile range of Hasna, and they end their turn there. So sometimes you might miscalculate, or Hasna's too far ahead and she has to actually tank that attack, and only after that attack and the enemy turn ends, then they get fragrance, and then after fragrance they get attack and defense debuffs. But that's after like taking an attack, and that's if we're versing melee enemies. If you're versing like range enemies, that they'll just attack her. So she does have to be built tanky in a way, and she should be a DPS because she's a Seeker. She has some hard hitting skills. You do want to up her damage and her crit and everything, but then she does have to be somehow as a tank as well. Like this guy had to build him with build Hasna with HP stacks, and that's why they have so much HP. The 7.1k at 3.8k magic attack, it's probably because of this Justice Tarot and her being 5 stars as well. He probably has really good rolls on this. Yeah, 20% magic, 117, and yeah, I think it's just too hard to play her properly. Like you have to really stay barely out of the enemy's range, so they get within range, so you get the fragrance debuff, and then you hit them. So she's a bit like sort of like a hit and run unit, but she has to let the enemies come towards you before she can like hit and do damage. Yeah, so even even this skill, Centered Trace, it's also after Hasna attacks. So her first attack isn't going to debuff them. She has to attack, and then after the end of the attack, it debuffs them. So I don't get why she's built in this sort of. I feel like it's in an uncomfortable way. I mean, she could do this to inflict fragrance on all enemies. Like maybe that would be better, but I don't think anyone's going to use this over Center Trace because you get the energy recovery and HP regen. Yeah, he's using the what skills is he using? I think the same skills as I am, right? The breath and that and that. Yeah, so the same skills. So basically she has to sort of come in to the enemy and sort of tank their attacks, and there's no real way around it. Like she has to be sort of tanky in a way, and you don't really want to build your DPS tanky. unless that tankiness also contributes to their DPS. So why, in order to play HASNA properly, I need to build her tanky. But if I'm going to build a DPS tanky, then why shouldn't I just play a proper DPS who just stays out of range and attacks, right? And that's the reason why, HASNA, she's not really that good. Her movement was the biggest questions, and you solved it. I don't think he's solving it. Yeah, maybe you'll solve the AoE problem. If you need any form of acting again to go from competitive barrel to a very DPS option. Some of attack increase. Yeah, 1 star's too little trait range. HASNA will be there. 3,500 is wild. She doesn't need movement or much life drain. I prefer to attack enemies towards me instead. Biggest fault, she's a Seeker. Generally, yeah, that's another thing, right? With Seeker nodes, we're not really upgrading the magic attack on our Seekers, so yeah. Tough ass. Yeah, very selfish, does little outside for your team. The debuff scales off your trait level. Trait's very much underrated. Like, I can see HASNA sort of good in, like, bosses, because, bosses don't move, so as long as she gets into position, she can, keep debuffing the bosses, so that's, pretty good. Tanky debuffing bruiser that stands in the middle of the units. For tanky build. Ring only works on use. Super selfish. Enough to maintain her unharmed status. The melee is lethal. Theory crafting on how to build HASNA. Range covers nicely with arm guard. Yeah, so that's another cool way to do it. You can apply fragrance because after you use the instant trinket and you have this skill, center trace, then you can apply fragrance to the enemy. And I think maybe what could be better for her as well is using the roaring flint. But yeah, using the arm guard with her, you know how the arm guard's only 2 range? The focus wand actually boosts the arm guard range as well. So if I were to swap to this trinket, for example, so we can see here in battle, she has a few buffs here already from Coco. And yeah, so trinket's usually 2 range, but with the focus wand, you can do it at 3 range. So because my trait isn't at like 3 or 5 star, they don't have fragrance yet. But if I were to apply the arm guard here, and yeah, look, the guard would have the fragrance debuff, and then you see we can get the attack, defense, increase the crit taken, and then she can do like a big DPS, which I don't even have the skill points for. Alright, let's do this again. We just get the extra skill point from Coco and lose the debuff. So has the fragrance there, and then we can do like a big crit damage, but this is a defender, so we won't be expecting too much. Yeah, didn't even crit. Probably not a good show of how HASNA's damage works, but yeah, you can use the arm guard to get the fragrance debuff, and focus wand does increase the arm guard range, which is pretty cool there. Alright, full DPS blade plus blade. Oh, sword plus sword. Okay, sword plus sword engraving. Best friend of Coco. Kind of tried the tanky fragrance. DPS potential. Seen HASNA sniping Coco from max to 0 arm guard plus penetrating combo. Scent tracker providing her extra movement after a crit. Allows her to move in, get enraged, kill someone, and return to safety. Yeah, but I just think HASNA, like, if I were to put that much investment in HASNA, I might as well just, like, put it into, say, Beryl, right? Because Beryl doesn't really need any conditions to hit hard or anything. But yeah, it is what it is. I think HASNA does have good potential. She's pretty cool and her kit's very interesting, but she's still not going to be like meta in my book. She just needs too much positioning and setup in order to reach her fullest potential. All right. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.